Wow, that was very, very good. Some wonderful insights there. We better take heed to what he said, because what he said was right. At this time, we're going to ask Matthew Manti to come up and speak. He's the owner of Training for Warriors in Didsbury, Alberta, and he's going to give a personal perspective of what this lockdown has meant to him.
Hey guys, can everyone hear me okay here? Right distance? Yeah? Okay. Thank you guys so much for having me today. It's such an honor to be up here and to have this opportunity to share a bit of my story and what we're going through today with some... Is it squeaking? Still good? Yeah? Okay. And some of the challenges that we're going through today. So yes, I'm the owner of TFW Didsbury, a fitness facility, obviously, in Didsbury. We've been open for about 4 years, and I've been living in Mountain View County since I was 4 years old. One of the best places in the world to live, as far as I am concerned. So, at TFW, we believe in the motivational power of stories, and lessons that can be learned in different ways from stories. And I'm going to share one with you today that came to me long ago about things that are happening in our world today that I think is very applicable to what we're experiencing. And there's been, a couple mentions already of World War II. World War II. And I have to take you back there. I have to take you back there to World War II again, with a story of how the Allied planes were kind of losing the battle of the skies, especially on our bombing missions over Germany. Our planes were inferior, they were getting shot down at a very high rate, and we were losing this battle. And, making it, is it even worth it to do these bombing missions? We're losing so many good men and airplanes in the process. And so this very smart group of individuals gets together and they say, we got to solve this problem. We got to do something about this, or we're going to lose this thing. And what they do is they end up analyzing every single plane that comes back from a bombing mission very, very in depth. They make a chart of every bullet hole, every damage, anything they can find to try and amass some information to maybe be able to improve their planes and the chances of these young men making it back from these missions. And after hundreds and hundreds of planes, you can still search this story and you can see the grid itself that they had. They looked at the data, and the main bullet holes and damages were mostly to the wings and the bodies of the airplanes, right? The wings and the bodies. And so they sat around the table a bit, and they're like, well, we got a plan here, look where all the damages are. I guess we have to reinforce the armor of the wings and the bodies of our airplanes. Right? And they were just about to go through with this until one brave soul, who was a Jewish mathematician, his name was Abraham Wald, he reviewed the data. He reviewed this data, and something hit him like a strike of lightning that was missing from their grand plan. And he goes and he speaks up just in the nick of time, saying, boys, you are missing something massive in what you are about to do here. He said, you're only analyzing data from the planes that have actually made it back. What about all those airplanes that are missing from the data because those young men are now dead? Those planes are gone. Those lives are lost forever. What does that data show? And this group actually listened, and they went back to the drawing board, and they found that all that data actually wasn't for nothing. It wasn't for nothing, because they could look at that data and see that it showed very, very little damages to the engines and the cockpits of these planes. And they said, maybe this isn't because they're not incurring any damages there, but the airplanes that do incur damages to that part of the airplane don't make it back at all, right? those were the planes that were going down, which by all there's no evidence. I guess we're just not getting hit in the cockpits and in the engines, they thought, right? Those are the airplanes that are going down. So it was a complete misinterpretation of the data, and what they ended up doing was the complete opposite of the original plan. The complete opposite. They reinforced the armor of the cockpits and around the engines, and instantly success rates went up. And more young men made it home alive, and those airplanes made it home alive. And we started turning the tides of that mission and what we were doing and what we were fighting for. Instantly, just like that. You know? And obviously, I think we can probably already see the analogy that is at place here. We've got, this group of people that have analyzed countless pieces of data, and they've taken that data and they've come up with a plan, an extremely flawed plan. And they say, wear masks. They say socially distance. They say lock down small businesses, or make it impossible, give them regulations that makes it impossible for them to actually operate. Let's divide who's essential and non-essential. Let's take away school sports and different group activities to the detriment of our youth and their mental health. Let's do this. This sounds wonderful. And if it's not working, let's just do it harder. Let's put on 2 masks instead of 1. You know what I mean? No, 6 feet isn't up to par anymore. How about we go, what is it? Is it 3 meters now? 3 meters, right? Let's go 10 or 11 feet. That's going to make the difference, right? So this massively flawed plan, right, which everyone here can see. I'm preaching to the choir, I realize, but how ridiculous is this, that they will not get off, unlike that group of men that said, you know what, this guy has a point, we got to start looking at other parts of the airplane. This is what we need to happen today. What are those other parts of the airplane? That is severe depression of all ages. That is increases of anxiety and medications and suicide rates and things that have already been mentioned here today. This is the loss of businesses, failed relationships, bankruptcy. It goes on and on and on. This is the other part of the airplane. And we need to turn this over to the other side of the airplane. 2 seconds. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. All right. But I'm going to just continue on here, a little bit of my personal experience in this. And then we've got one more great speaker here today that I need to leave some time for. But, another thing that's happening is they're taking advantage of our good nature as Canadians. We're known as some of the nicest people in the world, And how do they do that? They say it's not about you. It's not about you. You don't wear your mask for you. You don't lock yourself in your home and not see your children or grandchildren for you. You're doing it for others. You're protecting the vulnerable. You're protecting the elderly. Come on here. And we have made it socially acceptable that if you are not on board with this plan, you will be shamed and persecuted relentlessly. And I don't speak of this because I've heard about it. I have experienced it these past 12 months. And it's because from the beginning I would not go along with this plan. And there's something that you might not be able to realize about me if you don't know me from standing where you are, but I'm clinically deaf, okay? I depend on lip reading, a skill I've developed out of necessity. So, thank you. When, these masks go on people's faces, my world gets taken away. I no longer belong in this world. And I think the analogy would be I've been treated, seeing this dog over here, I've been treated like a stray, unwelcome dog on this planet more often than not around here. because I won't quite go along with it, because who's talking about this? I'm not trying to have a sob story about myself. There's hundreds of thousands of Canadians that have what's called profound hearing loss, which would mean that something like mine or worse. Right? And what would you do if you knew a group of people, hundreds of thousands, were being willingly and acceptably persecuted by all these, regulations and mandatory things that we're doing? So I felt I have to stand up against this. And the only way I can do that is through my personal actions. That's all I can control, and I will absolutely refuse to put on a mask for anybody at any time or any place. And this stance has made it so that I've been obviously shamed, either with judgmental looks or harsh words, on a near daily basis. I've been refused service countless times. We don't have time for me to name them all, but everything from trying to buy a simple treat for one of my children to even being refused access to a doctor, And this is going on and on and on. And we've got this socially acceptable thing where people would be like, well, good, just put the mask on and listen. And then everything is fine and dandy, but I'm telling you, it is time to get away from that. When we know this plan, is flawed, and I think that's where I'm going with this today. This all knows this plan is flawed from the get-go. But what are we doing about it? We got too many good people that are on the fence that are still going along with it because it's too easy. Or, it's easy. I'll play along. Or we don't want to face a little bit of hardship or those judgmental looks that I've been dealing with. But it's our actions today in the small things that are our only hope in regaining some ground against this trend. Hoping and waiting and wishing for the government to tell you it's okay. Yeah, that's gonna work, right? What are we gonna do when they try and lock us down the third time? What are we gonna do? Lock us down again, right? And no opposition. Just go along with it like we are with everything else, And they try and continue to bring these things on our businesses and on our personal lives and controlling who you can have in your home, and on the list goes. We know all this stuff, and it is wrong, it is evil, and it cannot go on any longer. So I will just close up here, sorry, because I'm sure they're gonna hook me off the stage here soon. Just with saying one more thing about this persecution and such that I've kind of had to deal with, and it's just, I'm all for Black Awareness Month, I'm all for Indigenous awareness, and I'm all for anti-bullying. But you tell me this, what's gonna make the biggest difference on our future generations? Wearing a pink t-shirt or example by how we treat one another? Yes. Right? Tell me what our action's gonna mean more, or is that pink t-shirt just gonna do it all? And we are repeating history with how we are treating one another and what we are calling acceptable in this world today. And, it might be a little harsh, but the people calling these hotlines, trying to report their neighbors and small businesses that are just trying to serve their customers and feed their children, the people making those phone calls are the same people that would have been phoning in their neighbors if they were housing Jews, and the same people that would have been telling the blacks to move to the back of the bus. Move over. There's a white person in town. And we think we're so advanced, and we're so far removed from anything like that, and we're sitting here today repeating history. This is just the modern day version of it. So I tell you, this war will not be fought and won, this battle we're in. We don't need bullets, we don't need bombs, we definitely don't need words or rants on social media. What we need is action. of each individual today that I will no longer stand for this. I will not be ashamed. I will not back down. I will live what I believe to the fullest of my ability each and every day, and I will never quit. Try and stop me. Thank you very much.